All right, Algebra 1, Chapter 5. Let me get my pen on, and it is page 283 in your book. So if you guys would open up your books to page 283. We just finished Chapter 4, where we introduced linear equations and some new stuff, and Chapter 5 kind of continues along with the same things, so this should look familiar to you. The name of the lesson is Writing Linear Equations in Slope-Intercept form, which slope-intercept, let's just start with that. Slope-intercept form is this: y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so the slope is rise over run. It shows the steepness of a line. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be zero, and it can be undefined. Okay, y-intercept is quite simply where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so none of that should be new to you. That should all be pretty familiar. So let's go to example 1. Write an equation with the line with the slope of -2 and a y-intercept of 5. So it seems like when I do this, I always start off with my slope-intercept form. I write it, and then you just substitute in what you know. If the slope is -2, you put a -2 in right there. And if the y-intercept is 5, that's all you do. Y equals -2x plus 5. So they give you the missing parts of it, and you just substitute them in. So they did the same thing, and there it is. Okay, which equation represents the line shown? And I'm going to guess that there's probably some multiple choice. Let's go ahead and just get it. Remember, if our equation is y equals mx plus b, we need two things. We need the slope and we need the y-intercept. So let's take a look at our line. Right here is where it crosses the y-axis, which is at 3. So b would be 3. And the slope, if we take from this point to this point, you just pick 2 points on the line and you count the rise and the run. It is negative because it's falling. So if we go, they're saying we're going down 2, we're rising -2 and running 5. So -2/5 x plus 3. So let's see if one of those, oops, sorry, let me get rid of all my writing. If it'll let me. -2/5, there it is. It's the first one, plus 3. There's showing the slope, and then also showing the y-intercept. And it's very nice when it's a picture. It's very visual. I like to see, and you can count it. You can see where the y-intercept is, and then you can count out the slope. And then they just substitute the values in. So our guided practice: write an equation of the line with the given slope and the y-intercept. So the slope, y equals mx plus b. So we put 8 in for the slope, and then it's just -7. Don't put plus a -7, that's not simplified. There it is. Pretty easy here. Y equals 3/4 x minus 3. Done. This one we have a picture, so y equals mx plus b. I'll usually start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -5, so that's a -5. It's a positive line, so we rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and run 1, 2, 3. Wait, I gotta go from one point to the other. Sorry, we rise 1, 2, 3, 4 to get there, and run 1, 2, 3. So 4/3, rise over run. So y equals 4/3 x minus 5. And there's another way. See, they're calculating the slope by using that formula, and we didn't talk about that before, but I don't use the formula if I have a really easy picture to count it off of. And then they're going to come up with the same thing we did. Write an equation for the linear function f with the values f of 0 equals 5 and f of 4 equals 17. Now, this is going to be a little different. One of the things on this is these are just a fancy way of giving you guys some information, and basically what this translates to, this right here translates to the 0.05, and this translates to the 0.417. So when you see it with the function form, it's just a different form of how you can write an ordered pair. So that's 0, 5, and 417. So if we want the equation, they want it in slope-intercept form. So what are the two things that we need? Y equals mx plus b. We need to know the y-intercept, and we need to know the slope. Well, starting with this, I know that I can find the slope of these by using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to pile them on top of each other right here. So I'm going to go the y's, and remember it's easy to get them mixed up. Make sure you put the y's on top. So 17 minus 5 over 4 minus 0. 17 minus 5 is 12, 4 minus 0 is 4. So the slope is 3. So we have 3 right here. So I have y equals 3x plus b so far. Well, now I don't know what b is, and if you drew a picture, if you put it on a line, you'd have to count out those points, but there is an algebraic way to find it, and what you do is let me see if I guess it's kind of given if you can recognize if x is 0, y is 5, that is the y-intercept. But if you don't recognize that, take one of these points that you have, and let's pick the smallest number, 0 and 5, 0, 5, x and y. Let me go down here. This is x and this is y, and you have y equals 3x plus b. We want to find b, and with this point we know an x and a y, so substitute those in. 5 equals 3 times x, and x is 0, which is 0 plus b. And 0 is nothing, so b equals 5. So our slope is 3, and our y-intercept is 5. And algebraically, you just substitute in those values. There's them finding the slope, and then they talk about how the y-intercept is just given, but sometimes we don't recognize that. That's the algebraic way, is to substitute those values in, and then you'll find it. So write an equation of the line shown. I love it when they show us pictures. Again, y equals mx plus b. So let's see, it crosses the y-axis at 1, so b is 1, and it's a plus 1. And we're counting from dot to dot, so we're going to rise -2 and run 1, 2, 3, and run 4. So it's -2 over 4, which is a half. So y equals -1/2 x plus 1. And here's a point, 0, -2, and 8, 4. So they want us to write an equation, y equals mx plus b. So let's find the slope, and well, let's just, that's at y2 minus y1. I'm going to go up. I'm going to subtract up. 4 minus -2, 8 minus 0. Boom, boom. 6 over 8, which reduces to 3/4. So this is 3/4. And remember, when x is 0, that automatically is your y-intercept. So y equals 3/4 x minus 2. And that saves a little work. If you can just remember, recognize when x is 0, you automatically have the y-intercept. Write an equation for the linear function with the given values. Again, -3, 6 is one pair, and 0, 5. And right away when you see 0, 5, we know this is b. So we already have b, and we need to get the slope. This is going to be the m. This is what we need. And let's put the y's on top. Let's go 6 minus 5 over -3 minus 0. 6 minus 5 is 1. I was going to boom boom right there, and I thought, wait a minute, I don't need to do that. And over 3, -3. -3 minus 0 is -3. So y equals -1/3 x plus 5. There it is. Example number 5. A recording studio. Here's a real-life situation. A recording studio charges musicians an initial fee of $50 to record an album. Studio time costs an additional $35 per hour. They want us to write an equation that gives the total cost of an album as the function of studio time in hours. So we don't know how many hours we're going to be there, but we know we have to pay $35 for every hour. So our slope is 35, because that's the part that can change, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So it's 35x, and then we have to pay $50 besides that. So there's our equation, y equals 35x plus 50. Find the total cost of recording an album that takes 10 hours of studio time. So we know that this is how many hours right here. So $35 an hour, that would be $350 plus 50. It would cost us $400 to make our album then. So the rate of change here is $35. The initial fee is 50. There's their verbal model. It seems like a lot. So there's what we came up with, 35, and they're using t, and I just kept it y and x. And I'm not going to worry about unit analysis. There we go. 35t plus 50, which is the same. We just had an x and a y. And then we put the 10 in, and notice they come up with 400, just like we did. So what if recording studio raises the initial fee to $75 and charges $40 per hour for studio time? Write an equation. So y equals 40x plus 75, because that 75 isn't going to change. That's our constant. This is our rate of change per hour, 40, 80, 120, and so on. Okay, so we got that right. And then find how much for 10 hours. So 40, I'm going to go back here. We'll put a 10 in right here. 40 times 10 is 400, plus 75 would be $475. So there's your slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Please ask if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.